I'll call to order the January 8, 2005 Fishers Plan Commission meeting. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Yes. Mr. DeReamer. Mr. Fain. Here. Ms. Logan. Here. Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Moulter. Ms. Stoller. Here. Mr. Richards. Here. Ms. Jackson. Ms. Frazier.
Here.
And Mr. Stevenson.
Here. We do have a
have
quorum.
quorum.
Okay, do we have a quorum?
We do.
So we do have a quorum to conduct business today. I will entertain a motion to approve the November 6, 2024.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. The next agenda item is case number RZ-24-3, Balmoral Village. It's a request for consideration of a rezone of 44.42 acres from R2 to PUDR, known as the Balmoral Village PUD. And we have Grace Wiley here to present on behalf of the staff.
Good evening. My name is Grace Wiley, planner with the City of Fishers. The project before you today is a rezone of the proposed Balmoral Village residential development. The subject site is generally located southeast of Allisonville Road and Hamilton Hills Lane and west of Willowview Road. The property is currently zoned R2. To the south and west are R2 residential properties. To the north is a PUDC commercial development. And to the east is the Indianapolis Metropolitan Airport. The current zoning of this property is R2 and has been used as a golf course and event center. Nelson and Frankenberger, on behalf of the petitioner Lennar Homes, is requesting a rezone to PUDR for a residential development that will be known as Balmoral Village. The development would include approximately 174 lots, consisting of both single-family detached homes and townhomes. And the site plan is shown here. Staff has worked with the developer to update the site plan from what was shown at first reading at City Council in November. The original site plan and the revised site plan are shown side by side. The street grid has been reworked, additional green space has been added, and the total number of units has increased by 6, with an additional 3 single-family homes and an additional 3 townhomes. The Fishers 2040 plan lists the future land use of this property as suburban residential. As stated in the 2040 plan, a variety of densities are encouraged in larger developments like this one. A neighborhood meeting was held on December 11th, 2024 to discuss this project with neighbors. Lennar will summarize this meeting. One public comment was received from Tyler Boston of 9720 Hamilton Hills Lane. Mr. Boston's property is outlined in red, and the Balmoral Village property is highlighted in blue. Mr. Boston expressed concerns about parallel parking along Hamilton Hills Lane, the density of the homes in the proposed Balmoral Village, and the drainage impacts of the new development. Staff has a favorable recommendation for Plan Commission. This item is anticipated to go to the City Council on January 13th, 2025 for final reading. This item requires a public hearing. The petitioner will now make a short presentation. Staff is available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hear from the petitioner now.
Uh-oh. Grace? Looking for those aerials to come up first?
They're right after this.
Go in front of you.
Other,
Okay. There we go. Thank you. My name is Corby Thompson with Boomerang Development, 11911 Lakeside Drive in Fishers. And I want to give a little bit of a historical perspective on this property. This property is owned by Rick and Diane Eaton. It has been known as the Balmoral Golf Course since 1998, but Rick's grandfather, William Spiker, bought this ground back in 1943. Kind of wasn't a homesteader, but just about back when there was very little in Fishers. And that was 1943, and this is how the ground looked with the current layout overlaid on it. So it was farm, and really essentially nothing around it. Aliceville Road was looks like a gravel 2-lane road over there to the west. Here is 1962. William Spiker then, you can see, put in a gravel lane that is now Hamilton Hills Lane and sold lots off of that lane. He built his own home up to the north there, where the Eatons still have homes that have been newly built since that time. But you can see this is probably anticipating some type of build after post-war boom, and anticipating that to happen in Fishers, and so he got started with his gravel lane and selling off some homes. In 1976, you can see that the home building got abandoned. The road got abandoned to the north there, Hamilton Hills Lane. The boom didn't happen like Grandpa Spiker had anticipated. He did build a pond around his existing home, and somewhere before that, Rick was born, of course, and this was still maintained as the family property. Then in 1998, Rick and Diane Eaton decided to add a golf course. Took out the cornfield and put in a golf course. By this time, most of the homes on Hamilton Hills Lane had been constructed, a couple of vacant lots. But also to the east, you can see the airport is now in full force. To the west as well, the self-storage has moved in. The apartments were built across Allisonville, and I can't help but think back in thinking back about the town council back then. If Eaton's had gone for apartments and self-storage, they may have gotten that approved at that time, as opposed to a golf course, given what was around there and so forth. And this is how it looks today. And you can see the property and the industrial nature, if you will, of the airport hangars to the east, the number of self-storage projects, the apartments. And so the Eatons, they're ready to retire and move on and move away from this. And so one thing about that, what Grandpa Spiker did back in the 60s when he developed it was, of course, it was a gravel lane, and there was no storm sewer. Very little infrastructure was required to build back then. Stormwater was a common enemy. You got it off your property, it was on your neighbor's property, and that was their problem. Now with this project, of course, being developed with current standards, the number of ponds we are putting in here are designed to hold all the storage, all the stormwater. There is about a quarter of this property sheet drained to the south, even to this day, even after this golf course was built. All that water gets picked up in storm sewers and carried to the north, up to the legal drain. So we to the extent that the rainwater does shed down on the properties in Hamilton Hills, that will be taken away and picked up with through engineering design through the city of Fishers and up to the north. Eatons have selected Lennar Homes to be the builder on this project. Lennar is the biggest builder in central Indiana. They didn't get there by accident. They got there through customer service. They used local design to design homes for this market. And so the Eatons are happy to work with Lennar. And essentially, it's an $80 million investment. A couple years ago, we performed the Aliceville Road corridor study, talking about investment, new investment in the Aliceville Road corridor, and this meets that exactly. It's been a long time since there's been an investment of this nature for housing on the west side of Fishers, and so the Eatons and Lennar are very happy to bring this forward. Now, Taylor Navarre with Lennar is going to talk about the actual project.
Surprise, it's not Taylor Navarro, it's Rick Lawrence. With Nelson and Frankenberger, represent Lennar. Address is 550 Congressional Avenue, or Congressional Boulevard in Carmel, Indiana. I'm just gonna talk for a few minutes about generally what happened at that neighborhood meeting, as the staff report indicated, and then also touch on a couple other items. The overall vision for the site is to try to incorporate the Balmoral feel and what has been developed there over the past 20 to 30 years and create a village atmosphere for the people who want to move into this area. and to the west side of Fishers. Here's the site plan. You can see that it's kind of a grid layout for the streets that is keeping with the village feel. And the other item to associate with the village feel is the layout of the homes and how they're kind of also grid related. And while that might seem to some to be a little bit more high density, it provides the feel for the overall site. And it also provides, in this case, a transition between the townhomes that are on the east and north side and that abut the airport and the commercial to the north, and it transitioned to the single family, which are the yellow sites there on this diagram, to the single family on the other side of Hamilton Hills. So we're trying to provide a transition from more industrial use to the single family homes that currently exist there off of Hamilton Hills. These are renderings that are hope to convey the feel and atmosphere that they want to create for this village, Balmoral Village, that have been designed by the Lennar marketing people. These are also marketing displays, as you can see. Two pictures I want to show you at the bottom right corner and next to that. These are all rear load homes. Taylor will get into more of that here in a couple minutes, but they're all rear load homes, so you have these alleyway streets that connect all the driveways, and everything facing outward or the front of the homes, and that would be applicable to the Hamilton Hills neighbors to the west. Another view of the front of the homes and how they face out. So to explain a little bit, we had a neighborhood meeting at the site. We had probably about 30 to 40 neighbors there. A number of issues came up, one of which Corby got into, which was the drainage. We explained that, and as Corby explained, drainage right now goes wherever the water goes. Part of the development of this property would be to control that drainage, to control the shedding, and take it where it should go, which is north. This property kind of slopes to the south, which is why some of the neighbors have problems in heavy rainstorms and water going onto their property. Because of the engineering of the site and what's required, as can seen on here, all of the water is going to be either retained in the retention ponds and then appropriately released into the Fishers system, which is actually northwest of this area. And so that will help to control that type of issue that some of the neighbors are experiencing. One of the other issues that came up was the access to this development off of both Willowview and Hamilton Hills. The prior design had 4 entrances, exits onto Hamilton Hills. We've reduced that to the 2 that you see here, and we've tried to align those with the northern one on the empty lot and then the southern one kind of hitting between the 2 homes. We are reaching out actively to those owners to try to come up with landscape packages that would then mitigate any other traffic or headlights that would come onto their property because of those entrances and exits. And that discussion's ongoing. And then there were some comments just in general as to how this fits into the overall area of Fishers. And as the staff pointed out in their staff report, the 2040 plan shows this as a development which fits within this proposal that we have brought to you tonight. So with that, I'll let Taylor get into the product itself, and then we can be open to any questions you might have. Thank you.
Good evening. For the record, Taylor Navarre with Lennar Homes. Address is 11555 North Meridian Street in Carmel. Thank you all for having us tonight. We're excited about this site and the Balmoral Village community here on the west side of Fishers. I'm going to scroll back a couple slides, kind of jump back a little bit, just to highlight on the concept plan again. I think a lot of this has been covered. As Grace mentioned, we've worked a lot with city staff on the layout of the site, reducing the number of access points off of Hamilton Hills Lane, and dealing with some of the drainage infrastructure on the site that's been noted as well. So the Yellow home sites indicated on the concept plan are all of these single-family detached homes. Again, these are all rear-loaded products, so they are served off of alleyways in the back. And then on the eastern and northeastern portion, closer to Willowview in the darker shade, those are all the three-story townhomes. So it really kind of transitions well from the airport area to the east and the industrial uses to the north, with the three-story towns, and transitions well into the single-family uses, and really provides that village feel that will kind of bring all the residents closer, being able to walk and provide some well-designed open space and activate those areas throughout the community. Again, these are some of our marketing materials that our design team has come up with to give some of the style and flavor of Balmoral Village. We're kind of looking into incorporating some of the history of the site that Corby mentioned, the rich heritage of the Eaton family's investment in the property and involvement. So these just kind of highlight the level of design and thought that's gone into this community. It's been a long process, but I think it's been well done, and really a collaboration with the city, and hearing the input from the neighboring residents as well. This is a streetscape up in Chatham Village in Westfield, showing some of the single-family detached products. This kind of shows a rear-loaded elevation. I do want to note that does show the third-car garage option. These are all, the base level has a two-car garage. Off the rear alley, a third car is optional. These elevations have gone before the PUD committee just earlier tonight, and were all approved with several conditions that we worked with staff on, such as a masonry wainscot wrap on all four sides of the single-family detached homes, and color packages to make sure that they're kind of consistent in tone, as well as similar brick and masonry packages with the single-family detached and the townhome. So it'll be a cohesive village aesthetic there throughout. And again, these are some just interior photos incorporated. We have what is called everything's included. That means all of the interior finishes, such as quartz countertops and larger 42-inch cabinets and higher-end fixtures and kitchen appliances, 9-foot ceilings. Those things are all included and not considered options that would normally be added on with other competitors. Here's a look at the townhomes, the three-story, again, rear-loaded, all brick on the front and side elevations, and then a brick up to the first floor around the garage in the rear, with a rear patio cantilevered over the driveway. One condition that we agreed upon with staff and the PUD committee earlier tonight is that all of the units would feature a covered front stoop on the front elevation to be consistent throughout the community. Here we see the what we'll call the even-numbered units on this elevation have more of an articulation. All of the front stoops will kind of match those odd-numbered units as shown on this plan. The elevations of both the townhomes and the single-family homes will all feature the black windows and trim with this style, really giving it that kind of elevated architectural feel. So this is, again, some images on the existing site that kind of inspired the concept and the design of the community. We are working currently with a landscape architect team on developing and designing the amenities for the site. This will not include a pool or pool house. The site just does not allow that, and we see this as more of kind of an upscale outdoor living type of amenity community with linear parks, utilizing some of that natural landscape along the creek there with the existing tree lines, with a pedestrian bridge and pedestrian trails throughout the community, as well as some outdoor living such as fireplaces, fire pits, seating areas, things like that. We're still in conceptual design phase of that. We're looking to, again, incorporate some of the history of the site and possibly incorporate some level of golfing amenity, kind of small scale, just to tie in to, again, the heritage of the golf course there. So don't want to overcommit or get anybody too excited about that, but is something that we are considering. Again, very heavily designed and a lot of thought and investment on this site from our perspective. And we're very excited to be here. And we thank you all for considering this item, and we are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thanks, Taylor,
Thank
for
you.
your presentation. Questions or comments from board members?
Is there a public hearing on this?
Yes, there is. At this time, I will open the public hearing. If there's anyone from the public who would like to address this matter, please approach the podium. Please share with us your name and your address. And also, individuals will be given 2 minutes to present their presentation pursuant to our rules. However, if you are representing an association like an HOA, you will be afforded 3 minutes for your presentation. So if there's anyone from the public who would like to address this matter, feel free to approach the podium.
Brian Mack, 9736 Hamilton Hills Lane, one of the neighbors to this nice property. A couple of quick things. Lennar, thank you for all the progress and entertaining and doing a great job on this nice product. My main concerns are really two. One is the parallel parking along Hamilton Hills. It's a very skinny street. I've got kids. Most of my neighbors and friends behind me have kids as well, and so it's tight. And so parallel parking on our small street has big concern for me. Number two is centered around, like in this recent rendering, it looks like the street is closer to my house than it is now. I don't know if it's just how the visual appears, but my concern would be any movement of the street closer to my house compared to where it is today. And so those would be the two things I'd request a review on and maybe a reconsideration or update. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Seeing, well, we have one.
Good evening, Tom Perryman, 9716 Hamilton Hills Lane. The second one, Mr. Mack said, I know that a majority of the neighbors are concerned about the street and the parallel parking on the street due to the fact that it is a very narrow road. One of the other concerns that I have with the HOA in the neighborhood, is the HOA going to allow any of these properties to become rentals? Or are they going to be sold as single families? That's a concern of mine. If the neighborhood becomes a rental property, or if a majority of the homes become a rental property, as I see it, and this is solely my opinion, people that rent there, they have no ties. They're just renting a piece of property. They have no ties to the neighborhood. They have no ties to the community. They don't have any ties to the schools. Fishers Elementary is doing an addition. My question is, how is this going to affect school systems? We've talked about the street a couple times. It's rough getting a bus down there. I stand out there every morning and talk to the bus driver. Been a few times. There's a little bit of a bump when the trash man and the buses go through. Those are our concerns. Those are my concerns, rather. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at this point. Questions?
Just quickly to try to address a couple of the concerns that the last gentleman talked about. In terms of the rental property, I know we've been dealing with that one for a while and throughout Fishers and the houses. I mean, I don't know where our legal has ended up on that. Ross or Rodney, any clue on where we're at on that stuff?
I would imagine within the next couple months, I would see our legal department bring something before city council. We are looking at opportunities within a neighborhood. So one, defining what a neighborhood is and limitations on a threshold. likely somewhere around 10%. Some sort of rental registration has also been discussed. I would anticipate that coming before council, like I said, within the next 6 months or so.
Yeah, I think that there's something was going on, it had to be checked out, because you've got to abide by state law, and you can't take a person's property rights away, et cetera, et cetera. But we understand the issue that goes on in those neighborhoods, and potential that brings in there that they're not long-term people, therefore they don't have long-term vision for their neighborhood, and we certainly appreciate that. I appreciate that, I watch that very closely, so from that standpoint, I'm there. Talk to me about the parallel parking, either staff or somebody. It wasn't in the presentation at all, but yet both remonstrators talked about the parallel parking on the street.
Yeah, so the concept plan that you can see up here, I believe the main discussion item is along Hamilton Hills Lane. So from a residential side, you'd have a driveway in the back, and so you have 2 parking spots in your garage, likely 2 parking spots in a driveway based on the site plan. And then the way they designed this is to be a neighborhood street, so they would have parallel parking on the road. To the point about the road being wider, I don't believe that is accurate, so it may be a shift in the concept plan. There has been some reductions on where the parallel parking is. You can see along Hamilton Hills Lane, there are some bump outs. The curve in particular is recognized as a dangerous curve, so there's no parallel parking there. Engineering has reviewed this. Any of that parallel parking, to the point about the road not being wide enough, would be within the Balmoral site. So the road itself would physically have to be wider to allow for that.
Okay, so we're taking care of that, and we'll get through that through TAC to make sure that
Correct,
the
yeah,
widths
this
that
is
they're
a
supposed to be,
concept
et
plan,
cetera.
but through the TAC process, engineering, looking holistically of what requirements Hamilton Hills Lane needs from an improvement standpoint would be under engineering.
Okay, then, because I understand the parallel parking, having just spent 12 hours in a plow truck plowing for the city on Monday, okay, the cars on the streets are a giant pain in you know what, particularly when you're plowing, not trying to hit kids and 4-runners and everything else while they're dodging through the cars, so I get it. Talk to me about the interior road, the alleyways. Whose roads are they? Are they the HOAs or are they the cities?
So the ones that are tree lined, the ones that have the on-street parking, those are public roads.
Okay.
And then the ones that are considered alleys, the ones that are behind the homes, those are private.
Awesome.
That goes
That's
for the
great.
single family and the townhomes.
Just want to make sure of that, because I wouldn't want to run a plow down there with the snow we just got. I'm thinking about where I was doing that, so it's problematic. So that would be maintained then by the HOA and the individual homeowner association to take care of that alleyway.
That is correct.
All right, I think that's really all the questions I have.
Thanks, Ross. Any further questions?
I'll make a motion to give a favorable recommendation to City Council.
Does that include the conditions?
Absolutely, it also always includes the conditions that were brought up by staff.
So we have a motion.
Second.
We have a second by Kim. Kay, roll call, please.
Mr. Fain,
Aye.
Ms. Logan,
Aye.
Mr. Peterson,
Yes.
Ms. Stoller, Mr. Richards, Ms. Frazier,
Aye.
Mr. Stevenson.
Yes,
Motion passes.
the motion does carry. Thank you. Next agenda item is staff communications. Ross?
We do not have any staff communication. I do anticipate having Plan Commission in February, so you should see notifications from us.
Okay. Any summary of council actions?
No summary of council action so far.
Okay. Well, that's our last agenda item.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. We are second. We are adjourned.
I hope you get that phone call soon.
Hey, Happy New Year, guys.
Thank you, you too.
I have